Today, I'm going to show you the number one gold play you can use this year. I think you could use this to turn a $6 investment into a substantial gain as gold soars higher. That's because, after what feels like nearly a decade of disappointing performance, I believe gold is on the cusp of a major bull market. In fact, over the past 6 months, gold is already quietly outperforming the S&P 500, the Dow, and the tech-heavy NASDAQ. And according to my research, all of which I show you free of charge today, I believe the price of gold is set to skyrocket even higher in the weeks and months to come. And to verify my claims and research, please check out our details and disclosures page. Today, we are at the beginning of a brand new bull market, and I strongly believe we're about to see spectacular gains. If you want to capture the biggest gains, you absolutely must get into this brand new bull market as early as possible. I'm going to show you exactly what to buy today. It's by far the number one way to get rich in gold today, and you can get started for less than $10. Many in the financial media are predicting gold will top $2,000 by the end of the year. As I'll show you in a moment, I think it could go even higher, and I'm not the only one pounding the table on gold right now. Some of the world's smartest investors are jumping in too. Ken Fisher, founder of Fisher Investments, just added a gold position worth $250,000 to his portfolio. Billionaire bond king Jeffrey Gundlach told Yahoo Finance gold is going to go a lot higher. Egyptian billionaire Naguib Sawiris says a quarter of your portfolio should be in gold as inflation creeps higher. While a major quant fund added nearly $20 million in gold to his portfolio just in the last quarter alone. But perhaps the most surprising to me was when I saw that real estate billionaire Sam Zell, who spent his career arguing against gold, is now buying gold as a hedge against inflation. But it doesn't stop there. Billionaire hedge fund founder Ray Dalio told readers not long ago he sees a paradigm shift happening in the gold market. He compared today's price movements with historical turning points like gold's historic 2,300% leap in the 1970s from $35 to $850 per ounce after President Nixon took the U.S. off the gold standard. And in the early 2000s, when gold tripled in value, soaring from under $300 per ounce in 2000 to $1,000 by 2008. Which might explain why his fund currently holds nearly $400 million worth of gold. Heck, even the conservative folks at the CFA Institute predict that continued money printing and a weaker dollar should send gold to $3,000 an ounce. I agree. Not only do I expect gold to hit $2,000 by the end of 2022, but I think it'll likely keep going, soaring far beyond $3,000, possibly reaching $5,000 or higher in this new bull market. As you can see, many of the most powerful, well-connected, and smartest investors in the world are loading up on gold in unprecedented ways. But that's not the only thing that makes this gold rally so unique. You see, there's another huge investor I'll tell you about in a few minutes, worth more than all the world's billionaires combined, buying gold by the ton. And as they pile up more and more gold in the weeks and months ahead, I expect prices to leap higher and higher, leading to the biggest bull market we've ever seen in gold. Mark my words, we are in the early stages of a mania, the calm before the storm. Weeks from now, you'll think back to today and pat yourself on the back for acting when you did. Most people don't know this, but so far this year, gold has outperformed every major investment class. It's rallied more than stocks, bonds, even crypto since the beginning of 2022. As this rally gains steam, most folks will likely run out and buy bullion or mining stocks. But I have an unfortunate truth to tell you. When it comes to investing in gold, most folks will likely miss out on the biggest gains. That's because there's a much, much better way to profit from the emerging gold boom. Unfortunately, most people know nothing about it. As I'll show you, if you follow this simple approach, which has nothing to do with bullion, ETFs, or mining stocks, the gains can be absolutely incredible. During one period, for example, this virtually unknown gold strategy returned 38% per year And not just for a year or two. This incredible investment returned an average of 38% a year for 18 straight years, turning every $1,000 invested into more than $300,000 and every $5,000 into a nest egg of $1.6 million. Meanwhile, over those same 18 years, oil lost 45%. The yield on Treasury bonds dropped from 10.46% to 5.88%. And gold plummeted from $489 per ounce to $263 per ounce, losing investors 46%. That's one reason why I'm so excited about this strategy right now. Even during the Great Recession, when the stock market lost 37% in 2008, this approach preserved investors' wealth and even gained more than 50%, despite the fact that gold bullion barely moved. In short, the investment I'm about to show you may be one of the world's most profitable and low-risk investments, yet it's still virtually unknown. And anyone can use it. It's as simple as buying a stock in your ordinary brokerage account. You don't have to call a gold dealer or deal with storage or anything like that. Today, you can get into this gold strategy for just $6, giving you a chance to capture amazing gains with the potential to turn every $1,000 invested into substantial gains over the next few months as gold explodes higher and higher. In fact, it's so low risk and so potentially lucrative, it's the one gold investment I've told my own father to get into, and I think it's by far the best way to invest in gold for the rest of 2022 and beyond. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about in just a minute, but first, let me introduce myself. Hi, my name is Bill Shaw. I'm a hard asset analyst at Stansberry Research, one of the world's foremost financial publishing companies. My company got its start 23 years ago as a humble boutique research firm in the heart of Baltimore, Maryland. Now, we've grown into a publishing juggernaut, providing cutting-edge market research to over 1 million readers all across the world. You may not have heard of Stansberry Research before, but today, my company is made up of about 250 employees, including 27 MBAs, 15 CPAs, 7 JDs, 7 CFAs, 4 PhDs, and a medical doctor. Over the past 23 years, Stansberry Research has spotted some of the most lucrative opportunities in the commodities markets. In fact, several of the firm's most successful recommendations have been precious metals investments, including ATAC Resources, 597%, Seabridge Gold, which skyrocketed a whopping 995%, Northern Dynasty, up 322%, and many more, which gained 200% or more, giving readers the chance to turn every $10,000 invested into $30,000 on each one. And soon, I expect we'll add even more gold and silver investments to that list, including the $6 strategy I'll show you today, which could soar as this bull market gains steam. Look, right now, the conditions are in place for a historic move I expect will be the greatest precious metals bull market in the last 100 years. The evidence is everywhere. Market volatility is rising, with stocks off to the worst start since 2009. Inflation at its highest level in 40 years. Economic and political pressures are reaching a boiling point, with Russia, China, and Iran. Not to mention, nearly every country is devaluing their currencies, one by one, with money printing, engaging in what looks like a disastrous race to the bottom. And the problems are arguably even bigger here in America, where student loans total $1.6 trillion, credit card debt sitting just below $1 trillion, and the country as a whole has more than $30 trillion in debt. And it's unlikely the Fed will be able to stop printing money anytime soon. That's why the message I'm sharing with you today is so important. You see, most folks will do nothing at all with this information, and even students of history. Investors who know the safe haven power of gold might be tempted to rush into investments like the iShares Gold ETF or gold coins and bullion. Many more will simply buy risky, hit-or-miss mining stocks. And here's the thing. If you rush out and buy the same investments everyone else is buying, you might do okay. But if you want a low-risk way to potentially turn every $100 invested into $32,947, you're going to have to turn away from the herd and take a stake in a different kind of gold investment. The virtually unknown gold investment I want to tell you about was pioneered by a Canadian named Pierre Lassonde. If you haven't heard of Lassonde, don't be surprised. Most Americans haven't. He was born in Montreal and came to the United States to work as an engineer. While working in the U.S., he fell in love with the state of Nevada for its skiing and vast mineral resource potential. Lassonde knew Nevada held huge amounts of untapped gold wealth waiting to be exploited for millions of dollars. But the genius behind Lassonde's unique investment has absolutely nothing to do with the risky, expensive, and complicated mining business. If you know the secret of Lassonde's business, you could use it to make huge gains over the next few years. In a minute, I'll give you the ticker symbol of Lassonde's business, and I'll explain exactly how it works. It all started with a tiny advertisement he found in a small Nevada newspaper. The ad was placed by a mine owner looking to raise cash to pay off an outstanding loan by selling an interest in his stake. Lassonde and his partner gave the mine owner $2 million for 4% of the mine's future earnings in return. Shortly after the ink was dry on the agreement, a large mining operation purchased the project and discovered one of North America's biggest gold deposits, the Goldstrike Mine. And the Goldstrike Mine delivered Lassonde the jackpot of a lifetime. If you invested $100 in Lassonde's company when it first went public, you could have made more than $32,000. And if you had invested $5,000, it could have turned into a windfall worth $1.6 million. In short, the secret Lassonde discovered was mining royalties. That is, simply a right to receive a percentage of production from a lucrative gold mine. Lassonde and his business partner had previously made a fortune collecting royalties in the oil and gas business. So, they decided to replicate their success in the gold sector. They created a company called Franco-Nevada. It's listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and the ticker symbol is FNV. You can buy the company today. We've recommended it at Stansberry Research to our paid customers. I consider it the perfect business model, and the financial markets agree. In the past 20 years, Franco-Nevada has outperformed nearly every other investment by a long shot. Take a look. It's handily beaten the Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ. But you might be surprised to know that this year it's already outperforming many of the most popular stocks, like Tesla, GameStop, and Moderna. Even Bitcoin can't keep up. Point being, the results so far this year have been astonishing, and if gold continues to soar, Franco-Nevada is going to continue to beat these other assets and the overall market. But there's a small company that's even better than Franco-Nevada. It's far cheaper to get into and has much bigger upside. Let me explain the specifics and why I consider this the perfect business. Not only did Pierre Lassonde make a ton of money and make a lot of people very rich, he and his business partners and investors didn't have to lift a finger. They didn't have to own or operate expensive drill rigs, $5 million dump trucks. They didn't have to pay drill and dig crews, the Bureau of Land Management, or anyone else for that matter. A mining company is on the hook for all these expenses and hurdles before it can even begin to produce gold. But Lassonde didn't have to worry about any of that. He simply wrote a check for $2 million to buy 4% of the gold produced by Goldstrike Mine in Nevada. And the mining company took care of the rest. The entire process to build a mine and produce gold can take 10 years or more and cost hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars. Royalty companies, on the other hand, are a cash cow business because they have little overhead and require very few employees. In fact, Franco-Nevada has only 35 full-time employees, and it's a $27 billion company. One of my favorite royalty streams is based out of a humble office park in Canada. They only have about 25 employees, far less than a typical McDonald's, yet they're able to rake in $84 million a year. And ever since 2007, participation in this stream has been open to the public. Yet most investors have no idea it exists. which is unfortunate because royalty companies are also the lowest risk way for you to take a lucrative stake in the gold market. Royalty companies allow you to diversify your holdings across several mining stakes, so your eggs are never in just one basket. Pierre Lassonde's Franco-Nevada, for example, currently has more than 400 interests all over the world. If one mine stops producing, it's no big deal. There are still hundreds of other royalties bringing in money. The point is, having money coming in from operations is much safer than relying on just a handful of mines, where unexpected events can wipe out half of your investment. While no investment is guaranteed, and all ventures feature a certain amount of risk, I'm convinced owning a royalty is the least risky investment you can make in the mining business. Legendary mineral investor Doug Casey once said, "Royalty companies are historically the safest way to invest in mining. They don't have any of the big yellow trucks or any of that. They just pay money to buy a royalty stream from somebody who's mining." The point is, mining royalties are the perfect business because there's little risk, low overhead, and huge profit margins. As I mentioned, the first company to set up this kind of operation was Pierre Lassonde's Franco-Nevada. Franco was founded in 1982, and early investors could have turned a $5,000 investment into $1.6 million. But since Lassonde created this business model, several other firms have copied it, making a fortune for other savvy investors along the way. And the same business model could earn you a fortune too, if you take advantage of the $6 royalty investment I'll show you today. One of the most successful companies to follow in Lassonde's footsteps is a Denver-based firm called Royal Gold. Royal Gold was founded in 1986 and started as an oil and gas exploration company. In 1987, the company shifted its focus to gold royalties, and that's when investors started to make big profits. Today, Royal Gold is the world's leading precious metals royalty company and owns a total of 190 royalties on 5 continents. In fact, they're still making investors a fortune. Get this, in the past 20 years, stocks are up 377%, while Royal Gold is up an impressive 540%. If you're interested in purchasing shares of Royal Gold, it's listed on the NASDAQ, and the stock symbol is RGLD. Again, this is an investment we've recommended to our customers over the years. Many have had the opportunity to use it to dramatically improve their wealth. But again, there's actually a much better and newer way to take advantage of gold royalties than Royal Gold or Franco-Nevada. You can invest in either company and you'll probably do okay. But if you want to grow wealthy during this gold move, this is the royal company you want to own. Here are the specifics. Before you rush out and buy Royal Gold or Franco-Nevada, there's one thing you should know. Franco-Nevada and Royal Gold are great companies, but they've both been around for nearly 40 years. Yes, they can still make investors decent money, but the days of 1,000% gains are probably long gone. After all, Franco-Nevada is worth $27 billion, and Royal Gold is valued at $7 billion. But there's another company that I believe is by far the best gold royalty investment you could make in the world right now. And that's why this company gives you a realistic chance to make astonishing gains thanks to this incredible business model. It's led by a man who grew the world's largest silver royalty outfit into a multi-billion-dollar company. This experienced team helped form a brand new royalty company which uses the same investor-friendly business model as Franco-Nevada and Royal Gold. They now own royalties on mines in Brazil, Turkey, Mongolia, Argentina, Canada, and the United States, just to name a few. And this tiny firm has a huge advantage, which I believe could ultimately make them even more profitable for investors than Franco-Nevada or Royal Gold. You see, Franco-Nevada and Royal Gold have grown into unwieldy behemoths, and they can't possibly sign every deal that comes their way. Instead, they only focus on mega deals. Based on my experience working with some of the most powerful folks in the industry, these massive firms won't even pick up the phone unless a deal is big enough to significantly move the needle. Even if it's an incredible deal, that means Franco-Nevada and Royal Gold send some of the most lucrative royalty streams away and into the waiting arms of firms like the $6 company I have identified. This tiny upstart, with fewer than 25 employees and almost no overhead, is still hungry and agile enough to take on smaller deals where they can negotiate terms that end up being more favorable for the firm and more profitable for investors. Think about it. A single billion-dollar deal would barely move the needle for Franco-Nevada and Royal Gold, but the same deal would send the price of the $6 firm soaring, and several $100 million deals, which Franco-Nevada and Royal Gold wouldn't even touch, could hand investors an absolute fortune. But that's not all. The story for this tiny company just gets better and better. Remember earlier how I told you there's another huge buyer in the gold markets purchasing gold at unprecedented rates? This will likely help push gold to $2,000 by the end of 22 and to $5,000 over the next few years. Nearly all the news in the financial world points to soaring gold prices, but amid all the reports about the inflation, the Fed's next move, and global tension, most folks completely missed this bit of news. The world's biggest investors, richer and more powerful than all the world's billionaires combined, are stacking gold in their vaults by the pallet. Can you guess who I'm talking about? It's the world's central banks. Take a look at this recent headline from Nikkei Asia and Schiff. According to the World Gold Council, the world's central banks bought 463 tons of gold in 2021, nearly double the amount in 2020. In fact, global gold reserves for central banks are now sitting at the highest levels in almost 30 years. And what's interesting is that, according to the official report, for the first time in almost a decade, we saw significant buying from developed market central banks. For some countries, this is their first increase in more than 20 years. Bloomberg reports central bank purchases have been a key support for gold. And the World Gold Council cites actions by the world's central banks as a reason why gold is rising toward $2,000, which is why it's becoming undeniable. Now is the time to buy gold. Recently, we measured every gold bull cycle in recent memory. There have been 8 distinct upcycles since 1975, and we discovered something interesting. Only one bull market in recent gold history has returned less than an overall double. That means when the price of gold rallies, it soars. In other words, the gains ahead could be astonishing. All you have to do is get into the right investments early in the next bull market, and that means you need to get in right now. The only question is, what's the best way to buy? To me, the answer is obvious. You want to own a piece of the royalty income stream, not mines, ETFs, or even bullion. Yet I'd be shocked if 1 or 2 in 1,000 investors knew this was even possible. That's why these income streams are so exciting. But don't just take my word for it. For the past 20 years, our research firm has been helping people discover royalty streams like these with fantastic results. Look, the simple fact is, most investors will watch as the price of gold leaps higher and higher and run out and buy mining stocks, gold bullion, or take the path of least resistance and buy a gold ETF. Many more will remain ignorant and do nothing at all. And those folks will greatly outnumber the 1% of investors who will depart from the herd, taking a stake in companies using the business strategy Pierre Lassonde pioneered to make his early investors wealthy. How do I know? Because even the world's smartest investors haven't caught on to this $6 investment I've told you about today. Maybe it's too small for them. I dug through SEC filings and found not a single one of the billionaires I mentioned a few minutes ago had a stake in the $6 royalty firm I've discovered using the same strategy Pierre Lassonde used to hand early investors gains of 4,500%. But lots of really wealthy people already own Royal Gold at Franco-Nevada. Today, I'm going to tell you how to get in on the next great gold royalty company before the world's wealthiest investors pile in as this bull market gains steam. The results could be incredible. As I've shown you today, there's a more lucrative way to take a low-risk stake in the world's most popular safe haven asset. I've searched high and low over the last few months, traveling thousands of miles. I've pulled on my work boots in places like Ukraine and Yukon to find the best opportunities in the precious metals markets today. The truth is, over the past 5 years, I've followed precious metals with greater ferocity and focus as this brand new bull market has emerged. I've put all my other projects aside and dug deep to identify the $6 royalty investment I consider the best gold investment of 2022. And I've put it all in a special report, which I'll tell you about in just a minute. As I mentioned earlier, I'm Bill Shaw. I've spent my entire career in the hard assets sector. Today, I specialize in finding unique and lucrative investment opportunities like the one I've shared with you today. But one of my favorite things to do is share what I've found with like-minded readers who get it. Folks who understand the world of investments, who are willing to look past the same old obvious stocks and reach for something better. For example, in commodities, the gains can be extraordinary when you catch the cycle at the right time. It's not uncommon for hard assets to soar by hundreds of % or more. In fact, take a look at some of these gains from the last commodity bull run, which ran from 2002 to 2008. And the gains on companies that deal in commodities were even higher, skyrocketing 2,000%, 3,000%, even 5,000% or more. The simple fact is, opportunities like this don't come around often, perhaps once or twice a generation at best. And history shows if you can catch just one bull run in commodities, you may never have to worry about money again. Right now, a perfect storm is approaching. Over the next few years, we could see the biggest precious metals bull market in history. That's why I've been working long hours, day in and day out, seeking out the best investment opportunities and sharing my discoveries in a research letter called Commodity Supercycles. In the past decade, I've traveled thousands of miles in search of opportunities in precious metals. You know, there's an old saying in the mining industry, in the room, in the deal. Well, in the past few years, I was just one of a handful of top-level industry insiders nominated and approved to go on an exclusive 10-day trip to visit with gold miners in Canada's Yukon Territory, a massive piece of land bigger than the entire state of California, with only 37,000 total inhabitants. The group was based in Dawson City, Yukon, a village of about 1,500 people, and the second largest city in Yukon, complete with dirt streets, no stoplights, and 2 a.m. street brawls while the sun is still out. It's also the site of the 1896 Klondike Gold Rush. Every old-timer at the bar had a story to tell. We split into groups and flew in helicopters and tiny planes each day. Over the course of the 10-day trip, I visited 6 sites and flew over several others. I also met one-on-one with no fewer than 10 CEOs launching projects in the Yukon. With the price of gold soaring, deep-pocketed investors have been drilling test holes for the first time in 10 years. Governments are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to improve mining infrastructure. What I saw in Yukon is something I've been waiting to see for the better part of a decade. And what I saw there is just scratching the surface. You can't see what's really going on in the world while hiding behind a computer screen. That's why I've sent research teams to places as far away as New Zealand to get a first-hand look at mining operations. And I've spared no expense to get to know the major players in the industry. In the past few years, for example, I've flown to the Nevada desert where I met with a small, exclusive group, including a Federal Reserve insider, the son of former U.S. President Gerald Ford, and one of the most successful and famous private investors in the world, who was reportedly worth north of $400 million. And using what I've learned in my travels to Ukraine, Yukon, Vegas, and beyond, I've put together a special report detailing a tiny gold royalty firm anyone can take a stake in for $6. You'll get all the details about this company, including the name and ticker symbol, in my newest special report called The #1 Gold Stock to Buy in 2022. If you plan to buy gold right now, I urge you to read this special report today. In it, I share all the details of the one gold investment I've recommended to my own father, a firm using a low-risk, high-reward business model history says could hand readers incredible gains as gold soars. Again, it's important to act now, before this bull market turns into a runaway train. If you're interested, I can send you that report in seconds. I also want to send you a second special report I recently put together. It details a second precious metals investment many folks ignore that can be just as profitable as gold over the next few years, maybe even more so. I'm talking about the world's second most popular precious metal, silver. The Silver Institute recently reported demand for silver is outpacing supply, leading some to argue we're at peak silver. Yet despite this fact, the gold to silver ratio price is still hovering around 79 to 1. In other words, right now, it takes roughly 79 ounces of silver to buy just 1 ounce of gold. Historically, in the 20th century, this figure has been much lower, averaging 47 to 1. As you can see, the gold to silver ratio is totally out of whack. And if history is a guide, you should pay close attention, because the last 2 times the gold to silver ratio reached this dizzying height, in 2016 and back in 2008, one silver firm soared 162% and a stunning 1,113%. And it could happen again as silver soars higher in the months ahead. You'll see all the details in my special report called the Silver Trade. Of course, I can't say for sure whether you'll turn $10,000 into a $60,000 gain like we saw in the gold boom of 2011, the uranium boom of 2007, or the oil boom of 2008. Keep in mind, the average annualized return in 2020 for commodity supercycles was 18.8%. This return measures the results achieved by all our recommendations in 2020, scaled to a 1-year period. And of course, there are risks. All investments have some degree of risk. Past performance does not indicate future success. I would never recommend investing any amount you aren't willing to lose. But commodity markets are cyclical, and there's always a bull market somewhere. When oil is rising, I'll make recommendations for the best opportunities in the oil markets. And when precious metals are the most profitable place to be, I'll make sure my readers understand the best way to position themselves to take full advantage. Right now, I'm convinced the bull market is beginning in gold. And if you own the right royalty firms early on, you can turn a small stake into hundreds of thousands of dollars. The truth is, every so often, the right forces align. The right people, the right properties, and the right kind of macroeconomic conditions to set up the opportunity in front of you today. For example, in 1982, Pierre Lassonde pioneered natural resource royalties when he started Franco-Nevada, helping investors turn every $1,000 invested into $300,000. And the conditions came together again 10 years later when Royal Gold used the same strategies to make early investors gains of nearly 5,000%. And now it's happening again today. That's why it wouldn't surprise me if the $6 stock I've detailed in my most recent special report wound up as the best performer in our model portfolio in the months ahead. In fact, I'll go one step further. I'll be surprised if this one stock isn't the best performer in our model portfolio a year from now. But there's only one way to find out. You have to see it with your own eyes. So today, I'd like to give you access to my latest research, totally risk-free, specifically my monthly investment advisory letter called Commodity Supercycles. When you start a trial subscription today, you'll have instant access to 3 free reports. The first is the number 1 gold stock to buy in 2022. Don't sell off your gold bullion, but before you invest another penny in mining stocks and gold coins, this report reveals all the details of the one gold royalty investment I personally recommend to all of my family and friends. Currently trading at around $6 per share, it's easy for anyone to take a stake in this tiny company, which I expect to leap higher and higher as the bull market in precious metals picks up steam. The second is the silver trade. The last 2 times the gold to silver ratio got so out of whack, in 2016 and back in 2008, one silver firm soared 162% and a stunning 1,113%. In this special report, I'll show you why silver could outperform gold and which silver stocks are my favorite to soar in the months ahead. Plus a third special report I haven't mentioned yet, the secret currency, a secret gold strategy used by the world's wealthiest families to make 500% gains with very little risk. In this report, you'll discover a secret investment behind some of the world's richest families, a form of gold and silver that has nothing to do with mining stocks, mutual funds, options, futures, or bullion. It's been hoarded by dozens of wealthy families, from the Rothschilds to the DuPonts to the Morgans. As you'll see, it's like regular gold and silver, only better, with the potential for much higher gains. You'll also receive my Commodity Supercycles newsletter, delivered to you on the first Wednesday of each month, along with my entire model portfolio, plus instant access to my complete library of hundreds of back issues and special reports. So how much does Commodity Supercycles cost? I think you're going to be thrilled when you find out. A 1-year subscription to Commodity Supercycles, including everything I mentioned here, normally costs $199 per year. That's what many others have paid. But right now, you can try my research for much less than the normal rate. You'll pay as little as $49 for an entire year. That's a 75% discount. For up to 75% off the normal price, you'll receive these 3 special reports. The #1 gold stock to buy in 2022, the silver trade, the secret currency, a secret gold strategy used by the world's wealthiest families to make 500% gains with very little risk. Instant access to my complete model portfolio, where 15 investment recommendations are listed as buys right now, plus complete access to hundreds of back issues and special reports, and 12 issues of my investment advisory newsletter, Commodity Supercycles, delivered on the first Wednesday of each month. Why so cheap? Well, I figure the best advertising for my research is to let you see the actual work and the results for yourself, with no commitment. And to encourage you to give it a try, I'd like to give you the opportunity to review Commodity Supercycles at what amounts to a ridiculously good price. Take the next 30 days to decide if Commodity Supercycles is right for you. If not, just let us know. We'll send you a full refund and you can keep everything you've received, free of charge. In other words, you are only agreeing to try my work to see if you like it. If not, no problem. Just let us know within the first 30 days and we'll send you a full refund, 100%. Everything you receive between now and then is yours to keep either way. You'll be hard-pressed to find a bigger opportunity than the $6 company using Pierre Lasson's strategy to make investors wealthy in this emerging gold bull market. Imagine earning hundreds, thousands, perhaps even tens of thousands when you take a stake in one tiny $6 gold royalty firm. It might sound too good to be true, but every so often the right forces align, the right people, the right properties, and the right kind of macroeconomic conditions to set up the opportunity I've shared in this presentation. It's without a doubt one of the most powerful investment opportunities you will ever see in your life. If you know about this opportunity, you could stand to make huge gains. For the full details and to find out how much you could personally collect, get the full story. And it's all yours for the taking if you know where to look. To get started right away, click the button below this video.